Sir, you coached the O-line at Texas A&M under Gary Kubiak, who is now with the Houston Texans, correct?
No, R.C. Slocum was head coach at Texas A&M when I was there as an assistant, and I left there and went to the Packers as an assistant coach, and then went to Seattle Seahawks with Mike Holmgren when he left Green Bay after we had been to Super Bowl, and was there as an offensive coordinator. Then had the opportunity to come back to Green Bay as the head coach. Ron Wolf was general manager, and he gave me a shot. And then after our first season, we had a great run at the end of the season. After the first season, he said he was going to retire, and he recommended I become the general manager. So it was kind of a fast and furious career and rise in the National Football League.
Coaching out west, as opposed, you're from the East Coast. You're from Massachusetts. You helped at Pitt.
Where you from, Brian?
I am from Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay, because you struggle saying Massachusetts.
I know. I usually say Massachusetts.
I know that's very very much a Southern trait. Massachusetts, yes. It's usually pronounced Massachusetts, but that's okay. Everything started up
well,
there.
I think you guys spell it wrong.
Well, that's where the Pilgrims landed. So I mean, that's kind of where it all started. So. But I'll give you a pass on that Massachusetts.
Well, and even make things even worse, I moved from Louisville, Kentucky to Atlanta, Georgia. So now I really can't talk. But Hooked on Phonics is really helping me out there.
Well, good for you. Good for you.
All right. Well, you, like I said, you're from Massachusetts, and you helped out at Pitt. And being from the East Coast and going to the West Coast, for example, UCLA and Texas A&M, and running that West Coast offense, Why did you pick? Is it an easy transition, and how hard is that for you?
Well, to be honest with you, Brian, when I was down at Texas A&M, we had some great success, some great runs. We were in a very good position in the Southwest Conference and winning games pretty regular. And then when I had the opportunity to go to Green Bay with Mike Holmgren, he had called me and asked me to come up to interview, and so I did. And I just thought, and I was just named the offensive coordinator at Texas A&M, and that was kind of a dream job. And I had my wife and kids. And College Station, as Major League knows, is a great place to raise your kids. And so I was torn between leaving and staying. But the opportunity to work with Mike Holmgren and his staff, they had just won the Super Bowl against New England, and I thought that would be a great opportunity to learn and advance in my career. So. I made the jump to Green Bay. My wife at the time wasn't very happy about it, but she had some great memories and friends in Green Bay now. And so I went up there with him for a couple of years, and was fortunate enough to be on some pretty good teams and be with him. And then when he was ready to go to Seattle, Andy Reid went to Philadelphia, and Andy asked me if I'd want to go to Philly, or I had a chance to go to Seattle with Mike. And at that time, I chose to go with Mike. He had been established. Andy Reid certainly has established himself as one of the great head coaches in the National Football League at this time. But went to Seattle with Mike as the offensive coordinator, and then was asked to come back as the head coach of the Packers.
All right. You've got like I said earlier when I was talking with you offline, you've got the second highest winning percentage at Green Bay, second only to Vince Lombardi. After that 5-year run, and it was a very good reign, I think you had 4 winning seasons, you had 3 division titles. What made you go back to college? I mean, why did you not stay in the NFL? You obviously could have got any job that you wanted.
Well, that remains to be seen. That when you go for a job in the National Football League, the great thing about the Packers, unbelievable organization, one of the greatest memories, as well as College Station and A&M. That I'll have in my lifetime, along with this trip. But the great thing about the Packers is it doesn't have an owner, and you don't have to answer to the whims and the desires of an owner. And so it's an easier job from that perspective. You do have to answer to about a million Packer fans on a regular basis, but there's no ownership. The ownership is in the community, so that's kind of neat and made a very unique experience for me. The fans were great. The players, I have unbelievable memories. I was just up in Green Bay last week actually for a fundraiser. But so when I left Green Bay, Gary Kubiak hired me at the Houston Texans. I had 5 good years. In my 6th year, we was at Green Bay. We struggled, didn't have a great season. We had some change in leadership. They made Ted Thompson the general manager, and Ted wanted to bring in his own guy, which is certainly his right to do. And so then I went down to the Houston Texans with Gary Kubiak and was eventually named assistant head coach and offensive coordinator. But the opportunity to come back to college football was was presented to me by Texas A&M and their athletic director, Bill Byrne. And I don't know, I just wanted to be in a position. I had one of the greatest jobs in the National Football League and thoroughly embraced it and enjoyed it. But the opportunity to come back to college football and influence young men who are 18 to 22 years old and be a factor in their life. In the National Football League, you have 54 players. I guess we're going to say kids. They really are kids. Brett Favre is still a kid to this day, actually. But even though he just turned 40 and is a grandpa right now. But when you're playing that game your whole life, you never really truly grow up. But the opportunity to come back to college football at a place like A&M, which I had a history with and a relationship with, and I believed in the university, believed in the school, was a lifetime opportunity. So I embraced that and feel very fortunate that it was offered to me. So I'm where I want to be.